Hey everyone, have you ever thought about how much our expectations can really shape,
Mm.
actually shape reality?
Yeah,
It sounds kind of out there,
right.
but like when you think you're going to have a bad day and then suddenly everything just seems to go wrong,
Oh, yeah,
it's like you're almost setting yourself up for it.
absolutely.
So today we're going to dive into a study called Pygmalion in the Classroom
Okay.
from way back in 1966.
Wow.
And it's all about how teachers' expectations can actually have a real impact on how well their students learn.
Interesting.
We're talking a real elementary school, the Oak School.
Okay.
Students from first all the way up to sixth grade.
Gotcha.
And a simple intelligence test.
Okay.
But get this,
Yeah.
there's a huge twist to this whole thing.
Oh, I'm intrigued.
It's a classic study by Rosenthal and Jacobson,
Oh, yeah, I know that one.
and it really turned the education world upside down.
Hmm.
So picture this, a typical elementary school,
Mm-hmm.
all the students, grades 1 through 6,
Right.
they're given this IQ test, but it's disguised as something called the Harvard Test of Inflected Acquisition.
Oh, wow.
Fancy name, right?
Very.
And the teachers are told that this test can, predict which students are about to have a huge jump in their learning.
So, they're going to be the star students?
Exactly.
Okay.
They call them the bloomers.
The bloomers.
So far, so good.
Oh,
Right?
it seems pretty straightforward.
Teachers want to know which kids are going to excel.
Sure.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But here's the catch.
Okay, there's a catch.
The researchers totally randomly picked the bloomers.
What? I know, right?
So the test didn't actually mean anything.
Nope.
Oh, wow.
The actual test results, they didn't even matter.
That's wild.
It was basically like a social science experiment pretending to be an educational assessment.
Clever.
So the teachers, they thought they had these hidden gems in their classrooms,
Mm-hmm.
these kids with incredible potential just waiting to be unleashed.
Right.
But it was all random.
Fascinating.
So what happened next? Well, I'm guessing they didn't just stop there.
You're right about that.
Did they observe the classrooms or something?
They waited an entire school year.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Let the teachers interact with their students based on these totally made-up expectations.
So the big question is, did the teachers' beliefs actually change the students' IQ scores when they were tested again at the end of the year?
You got it.
I bet they did.
The results were pretty amazing, especially with the younger kids.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the bloomers who were just average students. Remember?
Yeah, chosen at random.
Exactly.
Okay.
They actually had way bigger gains in their IQ scores compared to the other students.
That's incredible.
We know, right?
So just believing that these kids were going to intellectually blossom actually made it happen.
It seems that way.
That's mind-blowing.
The researchers even included this chart, figure 13:2, I think.
Okay.
It shows the percentage of students who had significant IQ gains.
Mm-hmm.
And the bar for the bloomer group, it's so much taller than the bar for the control group.
Especially in the younger grades, right?
Especially in the younger grades.
Wow, that's powerful.
So this whole thing, it really gets the heart of what's called the Pygmalion Effect.
Right, the idea that what we expect can actually become reality.
Exactly.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
But before we dive deeper into how this might actually work in a classroom, we need to take a little detour
Okay, where are we going?
to talk about something called experimenter bias.
Experimenter bias.
Have you ever heard of Clever Hans?
Oh, yeah. Wasn't that the horse that could do math?
That's the one.
People thought he was some kind of genius horse.
I know, right?
Our story.
It was huge back then.
So what's the connection to experimenter bias?
Well, turns out Clever Hans wasn't really doing math.
He wasn't.
He was just super good at reading his handler's body language.
Oh, so he was picking up on cues.
Exactly, like the handler would tense up or relax without realizing it,
And the horse knew what that meant.
as Clever Hans got closer to the right answer.
Wow. So he was a master of body language, not math.
Precisely.
That's amazing.
And that's what we call experimenter bias.
Okay.
Even the best researchers can accidentally influence the results of their experiments.
Just by their own expectations.
Through these tiny cues they don't even realize they're giving.
I see.
So if a horse can be swayed by these unconscious expectations,
Right.
imagine the impact on little kids in a classroom,
Especially coming from their teacher.
the person they look up to the most.
Absolutely.
And this brings us back to Rosenthal.
Okay.
Before he even did the Oak School study, he was already seeing this expectancy effect,
Interesting.
but with rats.
Rats.
Yeah, in his lab.
Huh.
And he found that even the student researchers who were all excited about working with smart rats,
Right.
they unintentionally influenced how well the rats performed in these maze learning tasks.
So the rats labeled maze bright.
Again, chosen randomly,
Right.
they actually learned faster.
Wow. So it wasn't just clever haunts.
Nope, this wasn't just some fluke.
This is starting to feel like a real pattern.
Rosenthal was finding evidence that expectations could impact outcomes.
In different settings with different subjects.
Exactly, and that led him to his big question.
Which was?
Could teachers' expectations actually become self-fulfilling prophecies? Impact students' intellectual growth in a real classroom.
And the Oak School study gave him the answer.
It provided some pretty compelling evidence that they could.
Yeah.
But, you mentioned the was strongest in the younger grades.
Right.
Why do you think that is?
Well, there are a few theories about that.
Okay, let's hear them.
One idea is that younger children are often seen as more like moldable. Their personalities and abilities aren't totally set yet.
Okay.
Their brains are still developing so fast.
The little sponges?
Exactly. Soaking up all the information and experiences around them. It's like they're more sensitive to the expectations around them.
Yeah, and maybe teachers kind of pick up on that without realizing it. And treat those younger bloomers a little differently.
Yeah.
Like give them more encouragement, more attention. Even just interact with them in slightly different ways.
Exactly, and it all adds up over time.
It's amazing how these subtle cues can really make a difference.
And don't forget, those younger students, they haven't really had time to establish a track record in school yet.
Right.
So those initial expectations from the teacher,
Yeah.
they might carry even more weight.
Like they're starting with a clean slate.
Exactly.
And those early impressions can really shape how a student sees themselves as a learner.
Absolutely.
It really makes you think about the power dynamics in a classroom. Teachers, they're the authority figures.
Right.
And their words and actions can have such a huge impact.
Especially on a young student.
But what if those expectations are based on, faulty information?
That's a great point.
Or even worse, unconscious biases.
That's a really crucial point. This whole study, it sparked a much bigger conversation about intelligence testing. How fair is it really? And how accurate are these tests anyway?
Back then, it was all about that single IQ score.
Right. It was the only thing that mattered.
As if intelligence was this one thing you could measure with a number.
Yeah. And thankfully, our understanding of intelligence has come a long way since then.
So we're moving away from that one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly.
Great.
Imagine judging a fish by how well it can climb a tree.
That's a good analogy.
It wouldn't make any sense, right?
Not at all.
You got to look at the fish's strengths in the right context.
A fish is going to shine in water, not on land.
Precisely. And just like fish have different strengths, humans have different types of intelligence.
Okay, I like where this is going.
The traditional IQ test, it was missing a big part of the picture.
So where do we go from here?
Well, for starters, we can look at the work of Robert Sternberg.
Okay.
He developed something called the Triarchic Abilities Test, which measures 3 different aspects of intelligence.
Okay, what are they?
Analytical, practical, and creative.
So we're expanding the definition of intelligence.
Exactly. It's not just about those analytical skills anymore.
The kind that traditional IQ tests usually focus on.
Right. Analytical intelligence is still important, of course.
Sure.
It's about critical thinking, problem solving, those academic skills we usually think of as being smart.
Right.
But Sternberg says that practical intelligence is just as important.
Okay, what's that?
It's the ability to navigate everyday challenges and adapt to different environments.
So it's like book smarts versus street smarts.
Exactly.
You need both to really succeed in the real world.
Precisely. And then there's creative intelligence.
Okay.
The ability to come up with new ideas, to think outside the box, to be innovative.
So that's what drives breakthroughs and inventions.
And artistic expression,
right.
Entrepreneurial ventures, all of that.
So someone could be super creative and insightful.
Yeah.
But maybe not ace a traditional IQ test. Right.
It doesn't mean they're not intelligent.
Exactly. Their strengths just lie somewhere else.
I see. And that's where Howard Gardner's theory comes in.
Oh, yes, Howard Gardner.
With his multiple intelligences.
He argued that we have at least 8 different types of intelligence.
8.
At least.
Wow.
Ranging from linguistic and logical mathematical to musical, spatial, bodily, kinesthetic.
Okay.
Intrapersonal, and even naturalistic.
So you could be a musician, an athlete, or someone who connects with nature.
Right.
And still be considered intelligent.
Even if you don't fit that traditional academic mold.
I love that.
Gardner's theory really challenges us to think differently about intelligence.
Yeah.
To recognize that we all have unique strengths and talents.
And that those should be valued and nurtured.
Absolutely.
It's like everyone has their own unique intelligence profile.
I like that.
Some people might excel in lots of areas,
Right.
while others might have a particular strength in one or two types.
That's all about identifying those strengths and creating environments where they can flourish.
Exactly. Intelligence, it's not this fixed trait you're born with.
Right.
It's something that can be developed and nurtured over time.
So going back to the Pygmalion Effect, if we're labeling students as gifted or struggling based on this narrow definition of intelligence,
Yeah,
we might be doing them a disservice.
absolutely.
Like we could be limiting their potential.
By focusing on what they can't do instead of what they excel at.
Exactly.
You hit the nail on the head.
It makes you wonder how much potential is being overlooked.
Right. Because we're stuck on this limited view of intelligence.
A big question.
What if instead of measuring intelligence, we focused on nurturing it?
I like that.
What if we created learning environments where all these different types of intelligence could thrive?
That's a powerful idea.
Yeah.
But what would that actually look like in practice?
Well, first of all, we need to recognize that there's no one right way to be intelligent.
Okay.
We need to move away from comparing and competing and embrace the idea that different people learn and excel in different ways.
So instead of asking, how smart are you?
Right.
We should be asking, how are you smart?
Exactly.
I love that.
And when we start asking that question, it opens up so many possibilities.
Yeah.
We encourage learners to explore their strengths, to experiment, to take risks.
And to discover what they're truly passionate about.
That's when the real learning happens.
When there's that spark of curiosity, that passion for discovery.
Exactly.
It seems like we get so caught up in standardized testing and, measuring intelligence in this one specific way.
Right.
That we forget about the joy of learning.
Totally.
Like learning for the sake of learning.
That's so important.
Yeah.
We need to create environments where that natural curiosity can just flourish.
Okay.
Instead of trying to force everyone into the same mold,
Right.
we need to offer all these different kinds of learning experiences that really cater to those different strengths and interests.
So more hands-on activities, more project-based learning.
Absolutely.
More opportunities for students to express themselves in creative ways.
Exactly.
Imagine a student who maybe struggles with traditional math concepts, but they're amazing at building and designing.
Right.
Maybe they could learn those same math principles through an engineering project.
That's a great example.
Or a student who isn't a strong writer,
Yeah.
but they're a fantastic storyteller. They could make a video or a piece of art to share their ideas.
It's all about finding the right tools and the right approach for each learner.
Yeah, not trying to fit square pegs into round holes.
Exactly. And this isn't just about helping students do well in school. It's about fostering a love of learning that lasts a lifetime.
Yeah.
Empowering them to become well-rounded individuals who can really contribute their unique talents to the world.
It makes you think about our own lives, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, we put so much pressure on ourselves to be good at everything.
Yeah.
To fit into these expectations that society has.
Yeah, we have to be good at everything.
Yeah. But what if we embrace this idea of multiple intelligences
I love that.
and focused on nurturing our own strengths?
That's such a great takeaway from this whole conversation.
It is.
We can all benefit from recognizing and celebrating the different ways we're intelligent.
Absolutely.
Maybe you're not a math whiz,
Right.
but you have this amazing ability to connect with people and build relationships.
Or maybe you're not naturally athletic,
Yeah.
but you have a keen eye for detail and a passion for creating things.
Those are all valuable forms of intelligence.
It's about redefining what success means
Right.
for ourselves and for others.
Not about being the best at everything,
Right.
but finding what lights us up
Yeah.
and using our unique talents to make a positive impact.
Well said.
And remember, intelligence isn't static.
Yeah.
It's something that can be developed and expanded throughout our lives.
We can always learn and grow.
So never stop learning.
Yeah.
Never stop exploring.
Good advice.
And never stop challenging yourself to grow in new ways.
Such a great message to end on.
Dang.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
I want to encourage all of you listening
Yes.
to take a moment and think about your own strengths.
What are you good at?
Yeah. What brings you joy?
And how can you use those talents to make a difference?
Because we all have something special to offer.
Absolutely.
Embrace your individuality.
Yeah.
Celebrate your strengths.
Yeah.
And never underestimate the power of your own unique intelligence.
Well said.
That's it for this episode of The Deep Dive.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration of the Pygmalion Effect
It was a great conversation.
and the many facets of intelligence.
Fascinating topic.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of knowledge.
Looking forward to it.
Until then, keep those minds curious
Yes,
and those expectations high.
absolutely.